Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a review of the Atlas Artifice, which is the epic variant of the Atlas LMG in Infinite Warfare, which was added a good few months ago now. I think it was the last batch of DLC weapons, if I'm remembering correctly. Well, before the Venom X, the Katana and the Nunchucks. But essentially I got this variant from the salvage hack, I believe, that was out last week or the week before. It was the weekend of that triple play type thing of the Feast and Beast update, but that's not important. It wasn't in the opening, it was just before I opened some spied up and got it from the hack. So basically I'm going to do a review of this gun, and I know this gun's been out for a few months, but I want to do a review on it because it's pretty fun. So I'm going to go over the perks first, then the appearance, which is much to go over, then my opinion on the gun. And I'm going to try to go somewhat in depth with this. I've done testing and stuff, which I don't usually do, but usually the weapons don't have that much different with them. So we're going to go over the perks first, and the first perk is the improved smoke kit, which is the epic perk. And what this does is it improves the smoke drone and makes it so as it moves slower and lives longer, and it also has a built-in scope on the gun, which makes it easier to see targets and enemies through the smoke, which is kind of needed because the Atlas, the main thing about the Atlas, like the quirk about the Atlas, is the fact it's got an underbarrel smoke launcher. And this variant basically has a better one, and it also has a scope, which is basically a built-in Trojan sight, only it's like an ACOG sight, only with a Trojan built into it. So it's actually kind of weird, but it's a pretty decent scope. I, in the gameplay, have switched it out for the ELO. However, I have clips with the scope on as well, but I just find it easier to use ELO because the scope's quite zoomed in on it. I tested the smoke drone, and it would appear as though it actually moves the exact same distance as the normal Atlas does with its smoke drone. However, it just moves slower, and that's why it lives longer, because it's going the same distance but goes slower doing it. It also seems to create a bit more smoke, and if it doesn't, it's just because it is moving slower and therefore it's releasing more smoke in the same area. So it's giving better cover essentially. So this perk basically just gives better cover with the smoke and it lasts longer, but it moves the exact same distance, so you're not going to be able to go all the way across the map. It goes the exact same distance as any other Atlas variant does, but it just moves slower. The second perk is Stockpile, which is a common perk which loads of guns have, and it's just increased ammo, and of course this stacks with extended mags. There is a secret perk which you don't see in any of the descriptions of the gun unless you actually have the gun. And essentially what this is it converts the gun into a 3-round burst ballistic weapon, and this also comes with better accuracy. I did do a test which should be on the screen now, which was testing the recoil in both variants, and I suppose you can also see the maximum fire rate of the Artifice as well. And essentially the gun shoots relatively quick, I suppose, with a 3-round burst, and I'm pretty sure it's like a 3-round burst kill, like it's a 1 burst kill at like short to medium range, and at long range might be a 4-shot kill. But it's a really good variant. I would say that this is like the thing you want about this gun. This is the reason that you would really want this gun, is for the 3-round burst feature, which isn't marketed in the actual gun or isn't shown like in the description in the Quartermaster collection, which is kind of weird. But a lot of guns in IW have this, like the Rajan AMX I think is like a 4-round or 5-round burst. Whenever you've got the epic variant that shoots faster or has a bigger burst or something, so pretty cool. And of course all the GL variants have their own unique burst numbers and stuff, so pretty cool. We'll go on to the appearance of the gun now. So this gun doesn't seem to look any different from any other Atlas variant. I do not have the base epic version. I have the Mark II version, therefore I can't really show the camo on it, like the base camo, but I've got my own camo on it, so you can kind of see what parts of the gun aren't covered by the camo I've got on the gun, because the epic Mark II camo covers the entire gun. So if I put on an actual camo, you can see parts of the gun without a camo. But I don't have the normal Mark II, so I can't actually show the normal camo. But this gun seems to be pretty much identical to any other Atlas variant in terms of appearance, at least. Like I said, the camo on the normal epic might be different, but from the actual shape of the gun, it doesn't seem to be any different. There's no obvious changes, like from the normal era to the Cerberus, or from the Ripper to the, like from the normal RPR to the Ripper or something like that. There's no obvious changes. It might be something really discreet, but I haven't been able to find any. But I'll go on to my opinion of the gun now. I really like this variant. I think that it isn't better than the normal Atlas, it just is different in its own way. So if you really like burst guns, you'll probably really like this gun. but I would say that the normal full auto Atlas isn't any better or isn't any worse than the epic variant, but I would just say the epic variant's kind of something fresh to use and it's really fun to use. I personally think I did do better with it, however that might just be because it's more accurate. I don't think it kills any faster than the actual normal Atlas. I would say the fire rate of the gun within the burst and then the delay between the bursts, as well as how much damage it does and the accuracy of it, I would say it all balances out to basically be the exact same time to kill as the normal Atlas. One big thing about this variant, however, is the fact that with the normal Atlas you have to feather the trigger at long ranges, otherwise, like you can see in the recoil tests that I have, where I think at the start of the video, where basically the Atlas shot up the wall immediately as soon as I started shooting, but the Artifice basically stayed in its own like area, like its own circle. All of the shots landed within the one spot essentially, and there's a lot less recoil with the Artifice, but that's because of the burst fire weapon. So I would say the one big advantage with the Artifice is the fact that you don't have to feather the trigger at any point. You can just, obviously it's a burst gun, so there's a lot more accuracy, and the big downside with the Atlas is the fact that it doesn't have much ammo, and also that it has tons of recoil and that you have to feather it out of range. So like I said, the main big thing about this gun is the fact you don't have to feather the trigger, because it is a burst weapon and it provides a lot more accuracy. This gun is a lot of fun, and personally I would not use a normal scope on it because it just is too zoomed in. It's kind of suffering from the same problem as UDM Stalker, where the sight isn't really like obstructive or anything like that, like the Stalker's is, but it's zoomed in too far, and it is more like a recon sight or whatever IW's version of an ACOG sight, I think it is recon, where it is zoomed in. But it's a pretty cool sight because if you're using it at a range, which it is a burst weapon and it's an LMG, so it kind of suits long range engagements, and the burst fire, accuracy helps with that. So if you are using it at long ranges, this sight really does help, because it obviously you've got smoke built into the gun, and the smoke's just like the gimmick type thing of it. It doesn't help in any situation really. But if you do ever use the smoke, you can use your built-in sight to look through the smoke and see enemies. So it's a good sight, but I would say just for my style of play, it's not really good for me because I use ELU, and I do better with ELU on it, or just iron sights in your normal Atlas. But I would say that's about it. Just to round it up, I would say the Atlas Artifice is just as good as a normal Atlas, with the main upside and the main advantage to the Atlas Artifice being the fact that it is a burst fire weapon and therefore provides greater accuracy, which means you don't have to feather the trigger. I would say that all the different perks and all the different stats about the gun basically balance it out to kill as fast as the normal Atlas, and like I said before, the fire within the burst, the delay between the bursts, the range, the builds to kill, all that stuff, the accuracy, I would say it all balances out to be just as good as a normal Atlas, if not a tiny bit better. But it is a fun gun. If you do have it, I would definitely recommend using it. IW are probably going to be moving variants into the prototype lab in the coming months, because with the last update, which was a week or two ago I think now, which I think it was last week actually, they moved in all the RVN, all the UDM and all the Xeon variants into the prototype lab and added in new variants for them. So I would say that in the next few months they will be adding in other variants and removing these ones from the Quartermaster collection. Therefore you may be able to craft the Artifice in the future, and if you are watching this video when you are able to craft it, I would definitely recommend buying it if you're even considering it, because it is a really fun gun, even though it isn't like it isn't better than by like a large margin than any other Atlas variant. But anyway, it's a fun gun, I really enjoy using it, and that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and maybe even subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.